All right, good afternoon and welcome back to In Studio here at the Canada Cup from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
The first people I've seen in weeks.
Hey, who would have thought that? Yeah, things are getting a little better in Halifax. Caseload's going down, restrictions have eased up a little bit. So we are not violating any restrictions here, but we are staying safe and cleaning everything up and making sure we're disinfecting all this place. Ben, bring your disinfectant wipe.
Absolutely. Never leave the house without it.
That's it. Well, you might find some disinfectant wipes for your birthday coming up.
Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, these guys are planning me a surprise party. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone. But really looking forward to it.
Of course, make sure there. John, how about yourself, man? Doing well? Get out of the house here?
I mean, it's nice to be not doing this exclusively over Zoom. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, silver bells. It's Christmas time in Origi. I just had to get it in early this week.
How long did you spend thinking that one on?
I did it while I was walking through the rain here in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Beautiful.
As we record this on the day of the winter solstice, a wonderful winter sort of day here in Halifax, where it's
Start of
downpouring rain, and I'm just soaked to the bone.
It's the start of Yule as well. So lots of reasons to celebrate here today.
And that is a classic.
You'll never walk alone.
Ah, there we go.
And on that high note, I think we should just end the podcast.
That was a cross right into the box, John.
Laid it up right there for you, and that makes it an 8-0 victory.
I think that was really just the closest I will ever get to scoring a bicycle kick.
Oh man, I would love to see you try doing that in a real pitch. But we'll leave that for maybe a summer edition of the Canada Cup. We got lots to get through today. It has been a busy week. Games galore. We're going to recap our Tottenham victory as well as our dominant Crystal Palace victory there. We'll touch base on some of the other games throughout the week in the Premier League. We'll go over some transfer rumors and some stuff on the radar coming up. A lot of reports. Some people might be unhappy, and some people might be on the way out. So we'll talk about those, see how likely we think those are going to be. I've got a lot of other talking points. Mourinho is, pulling his old punches just like before.
Mourinho's mad.
Shocker.
The special one is back.
Mm-hmm. And the normal one is throwing down a fair bit too. So we'll see how he's faring in these war of words. We also have the FIFA Best Awards that just came up, and we're touch base on a few of those, especially with our own Canadian content involved in there. And then Ben gets to defend his crown in our trivia matchup here against John. So we'll see if we can bang that out there before we set up our game next week against West Brom Albion on Sunday the 27th. So this Christmas edition of the Canada Cup, boys, we have a lot to be thankful for. It kind of came early, eh? It's just 3 years in a row that Liverpool has been top of the table at Christmas time. Yeah?
Yeah, we win the league 50% of the time when that happens. So
perfect. Good start there. Yeah. Or are we now on an off year for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
we're like the San Francisco Giants, just every other year we win the World Series. So.
San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, didn't they have that streak of like every other year? America's
football season right now. Nonetheless, starting first game up there, we had Tottenham 2-1 victory over Mourinho. We had some bold predictions we'll get to in a second there, but John, man, how are you feeling about that game? Taking it to the special one in the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Something beautiful that happened during that game more than anything else. I think that just to jump ahead to the end of the game. I mean, it's been a hot minute since we saw the game because of the way that the recording goes. Just Bobby, man, like finally scoring, and just like I think more than it's points been made on other shows and in other podcasts, lesser podcasts as far as I'm concerned, but other podcasts have made the point that Bobby is a player that thrives on being a performer, and when I say performer, I mean he's an entertainer. He likes to be in front of a crowd and entertain, and he had that opportunity against.
And he ran that 100 yards to do
it. Yeah.
After
playing 90 minutes.
Yeah.
There was something about that though that touched me deep in my soul. I don't know if it worked on you guys in the same way, but like him rushing to the cop and
not gonna take that away from him.
No, I'm happy for it.
Yeah. It was a moment.
Can you show me on the doll where for me?
Right in the soul, right? somewhere in here, as Millhouse Van Houten taught us in that Classic Simpsons episode. But yeah, just a great performance. Honestly, like even when it was a 1-1 game and kind of looked like a typical boring Mourinho setup for a 1-1 performance, I didn't ever sort of have it in the back of my head that Liverpool weren't going to win it. It did feel like a game that we were set out to go out and win. And obviously we dominated a lot of the statistics that ultimately don't matter. But we came up with the one that does, with that 2-1 victory. And just to finish off here, I'm sure that you guys saw, as I did, Tim Sherwood's
That was classic.
commentary on the match, like in the midst of the match. It was I think it was for Amazon, I think.
It was something like that, and just as Bravo was taking the penalty.
As he's setting up to take the corner, it's like a show where like he's doing the commentary. It's like, honestly, like I feel like it's like here's Tim Sherwood saying this. Like I feel honestly like Tottenham has done well today. We're good for the 1-1 draw, and even as Liverpool's about to take this corner, I'm not too concerned because honestly, like I think that nobody's going to be able to meet it with their head. Just as he says the word head, Bobby's nodding it into the goal, and it was a beautiful moment.
Proper commentators know not to set themselves up.
The thing I just respect about Tim Sherwood is he didn't skip a beat. As he was saying it, he said, "I don't think everyone's going to hit it with their head, except for him, of course." He didn't even skip it. Gotta respect the professionals.
And you can literally just hear the soundtrack or the theme song to Curb Your Enthusiasm starting just as the ball nestles into the back of the net.
Was pretty.
Love being a Mourinho side. If for no other reason than you get the classic Mourinho, where he even if he has something to say, he has nothing to say.
Oh,
that Mourinho 1,000-yard stare.
Oh man, he was staring right through Klopp, and I think it was just beaming. I think it was beaming on Klopp's teeth. Like he was just smiling, and the whiteness was just bouncing it right back.
Oh my god! Like Klopp was the human embodiment of the troll face right there.
It was pretty amazing because like he kept going back at Klopp. We kept going, and he was just like, "What?" I think Klopp didn't quite hear him.
Really? No, he heard him. His grin definitely
He
was hearing the words he was saying.
I believe all Klopp was saying was, "You mad, bro?"
Wow, you're just throwing out 2011 references. Good job. No, if I could, JP,
Please.
Okay, I would like to defend a little bit. I'm not fully defending, but a little defending Jose Mourinho. Now, as I'm sure we're all aware, Jose Mourinho gave the now quite famous quote, "The better team lost," which I think has been picked apart on both sides. Because we'll look through. If you look at JP's favorite statistic, which is possession, Liverpool was definitely a better side, and they definitely had it. However, the first goal that we scored, that Salah scored, number one, that was all Jones. Jones did all the work. Salah shot kind of half-heartedly. It just tipped off Eric Dyer.
It wasn't a half-hearted shot. It was a deflected shot.
Yeah, but that goal was care of Curtis Jones and Eric Dyer, in a very fluky way. The rest of that game, we had Steven Bergwijn get two glorious chances. One went wide, one hit the post. And then Harry Kane had that header that he just missed time and it hit the ground and bounced over. Had things been slightly different, Spurs would have been up 4-1. Not to mention the goal that they did score was exactly what we expected Spurs to do, and exactly what a team like Liverpool should be able to train for and counter against, which would be that very lethal counter. The fact is, it very easily could have been 4-1. Like I said.
So Ben, here's the thing. When you play that game of ifs, if Reece Williams was half an inch more forward, someone would have been offside.
Yeah,
So there goes that goal.
If Son played for Liverpool, he'd be offside.
That's a very valid point. And then Liverpool had 11 shots on target. If Salah or Mane they each had 2 shots, pretty much go straight out the race. If, like you said, if Kane had got better contact, or if Bergwijn had put it on net, if Salah and Mane had hit those shots a little better, away from Reece, boom, there's 4 goals.
And if Harry Kane hadn't faked a head injury in the last last few minutes of the game.
Oh,
I'm genuinely upset about this because like we're gonna have concussion symptoms protocols subs coming into the game soon. I think it's a really great thing. It's obviously a hot topic. It's a hot topic for a reason, but it's like that was a case where this was abused. Now, if we were in the case where there was a substitution for Harry Kane in that situation, he's not coming on the pitch even if he passes a concussion test after he gets subbed off for the concussion subs, and that's a good thing. But like, I was upset about that honestly in the moment. Obviously, faking a head injury would waste some time to try and salvage a point. And you're disgusting, Harry Kane.
Well, I said I'll put that into every diving and rolling around and killing. I hate all of that stuff.
Yeah, but well, okay, here's an interesting thought though. Had concussion sub existed, that could have been a way of Harry Kane getting a fourth sub.
Yeah.
For
I got hit in the head. I need to get a fourth sub. And
right. No, obviously that.
And if they do Harry Kane, it could be some random terrible player. Oh, I got head injury. Oh, we're bringing in Lucas Moura.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, regardless, see all your points. I'm just saying that I believe Jose Mourinho had a bit of cause to be annoyed. I don't think he was correct in his statement that the better team lost. I just think I could see where he was coming from, but I don't think we were as dominant or as good as I think we retrospectively have been trying.
I completely disagree with that because I agree, stats don't always tell a story, but they tell a good portion of the story. Now, if I have the ball 75% of the game, I'm controlling the game. Like I'm going on to and you're relying.
But we were 1-1. We were 1-1 until the 90th minute.
Doesn't mean we're controlling.
Here's where I'll disagree with you, JP, while agreeing with you. So just hang on to your shorts.
We're already off, Joe. Sorry.
Okay. Well, just happy birthday. So it's not necessarily a situation where like if you have more possession, you're necessarily controlling games. I think we saw that with Leicester City beating them 2-0. You had a situation where
Leicester had possession.
No, they didn't.
Well, it wasn't a commanding possession.
They didn't have command.
Yeah, not commanding, but they had more. But if you're going to use that stat, it was 55, 45.
My point is that you don't necessarily need possession to be quote unquote controlling the game because like if
75%.
I'm saying if Tottenham comes out of that game with the 1-1 that they almost had, Jose looks like a genius. Stifling the champions, stripping 2 points from them, all that sort of stuff.
Would have stayed top of the table.
Would have stayed top of the table, would have been top of the table at Christmas, all those sorts of things.
No, we would have been because they lost the Leicester.
Well,
anyway,
he played more what here.
Exactly, like butterfly effect. But what I will say is that as soon as things don't go to plan, that's when you look like an absolute idiot.
And
right? So if you're putting all your eggs, I think we had the same issue against.
Eggs in one basket. Keep going with that.
I think we had the same issue when we played against Midtjylland, where we're playing to not lose the game rather than playing to try and win it. When you go into that sort of mindset where you're putting your eggs in one basket and you don't come up when you come up short, you end up looking like, well, you could have played the game so many different ways and come up with a result.
But okay, I feel like they did play in a lot. For me, it appeared like they were playing for a win. They were just playing in the system that Jose Mourinho has created. It has been up to that point very successful. We're top of the table. I think the part that annoyed me, and I'm actually going to quote one Jordan Henderson, the second best personality in Britain. Or whatever. Sports personality. Second best.
Sports person of the year.
Second best sports personality. No, he got second. Lewis Hamilton.
He won.
He even brought a point in his post-match interview that he was upset that they conceded that goal to Kane because, in his words, they knew that was the style of his first place. What did I say? Kane? Sorry, Son. It's going to be one of the two of them. But he was upset that Son scored because, as he said, they knew that's their style. That's what they trained for, and they still let it happen. So that's something to be disappointed in. And then going back to my point, if Bergwijn twice and Kane a third time.
And if Van Dijk or Gomez were injured, you would have had two, well, at least one world class, potentially, Gomez.
Hey, Van Dijk's pretty good.
If Van Dijk or Gomez are playing, I don't think Son's getting that goal. Anyway, it's a whole different game. This is the what-if game. But when you go back to them playing that style, do I agree that this is the only way they can win? 100%. if Tottenham is going to win, that's all they can hope for.
It's a crime against humanity, but
They have to sit back and hope Kane and Son get a goal. If either one of them is out and gets injured, they're screwed. That's all they can do. Now, if you try to play a different style, it's not going to work. So I commend Jose for finding a system and sticking with it. But the reason why I think they're losing points now and losing steam is because they don't have any versatility. Liverpool could sit back and play like that if they wanted to, but they play better open and free. And if Sal's not scoring, Firmino's scoring. Or if, Mane's not scoring, Minamino's scoring. So there's multiple ways for Liverpool to play, where Tottenham has one way, and if that doesn't work, they're screwed. And I don't think it's sustainable for 38 games.
And I agree with you, because I think I said this on our last episode last week. This Liverpool team, has been limping lately, and still nobody can keep pace with them.
Yeah.
That was proved last week, and then that was proved against Crystal Palace when my boy Minamino scored the opener and the game-winning goal technically.
The only thing before we get to that game, did anybody else be weird messing back and forth? That VAR decision for Son, that went way too fast. Like that was line. Oh yeah, he's on done. Every other time we've seen it, it goes way long.
I thought that was off.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I'm still pretty sure it was off. I made the joke like if he were the Liverpool player, it would have been off. Like I've seen that same decision go against us before. Like.
Well, actually, today.
And then it did go against us. Was it against Palace?
I don't even know.
I think we were all drunk, and I still had to go to work.
Yeah. The last thing I want to, and I don't want to dwell on Mourinho this whole time, when he says the best team lost, is it a simple enough discussion to say who is the better team? How do you define a better team? Is it just a win? Because I'll argue that. Hey, my Greeks, they won the Euro 2004. They were not the best team. They got the games done.
Portugal in 2016.
Yeah,
same deal.
Totally agree with that.
France was the best team in that tournament, and I got second. So I think you bring up a good point. I think his point of view is just, in his mind, Spurs had a better game, which I don't think is true, but as I've kind of harped on, I do see some of his points.
For me, I think it's a case of Mourinho looking at what was either team setting out to do. Mourinho's team was setting out to catch Liverpool. Just more or less, he wanted to not lose that game.
I think hope for a chance.
Yeah, he knew that he would still be top if he just got a draw.
More than anything else in the world, Jose Mourinho wants to not lose against Liverpool. I think that was great. I think that even outpaces him wanting to best Pep.
Jose has a lot of rivals.
That's very true.
So I don't think it's just Liverpool. I think probably Manchester United as an organization, Pep probably the biggest one. And I think, Liverpool is definitely in his head. Oddly enough, Spurs when he was with Chelsea, now Chelsea now he was with Spurs. So.
But I think for me, I think that was a case of him saying that his team was the one closer to executing his perfect game plan, the perfect game plan in his mind. And that was not a perfect game plan in the Liverpool match. I think we saw that a little bit more against Palace. But, to say that equates to the best team did or didn't win, I don't necessarily agree with our good friend Jose.
And I think he's just Captain Deflecto. He's trying to bring up everything else. But before we move on to our Palace victory, our predictions. Ben, you had a 2-0 win. You almost had that. John, you had 1. I also thought a 1-0. We didn't get one from Jamie, who, again, couldn't join us this week now. We'll hopefully be seeing you soon, buddy. And so nobody got that prediction right.
Okay, retroactively, VAR should take out Son's goal. So.
Retroactive?
Yeah.
Why not? Your goal prediction was a Minamino goal. Nothing
wrong
there.
Wrong game.
5 yellows from John. That didn't happen.
Came close.
Almost, yeah. Another game would have been. I had a Cujo goal and 70% possession. Now, hold on, guys.
Oh, what's your next prediction? The ball's gonna get next.
So that was my point. Nobody disagreed with it when I said it. But after the game, I wrote you guys all and said, you know what? Maybe that wasn't really bold enough because we were playing Mourinho's first. So John, have at her. I'll give you 30 seconds.
What I will tell you right now is that Liverpool in terms of possession.
30 seconds is up.
In the league, period, Liverpool is actually second in terms of possession overall, period. So there's that. City. That's
That's embarrassing for City.
That is about the only way that City's ahead of Liverpool this year. Hey!
Yeah, that's a lot of league left to play.
Second, Tottenham's possession against top 6 teams is about 2. Not 2%, but 2 spells of possession, period. So I'm just gonna say, like, if we want to count that, we didn't call you on it at the moment. We didn't call you on it at the moment. We didn't call you on it at the moment. But
Be more vigilant next time.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you, JP. I'm watching
And
your head.
I'm willing to concede that one because, in hindsight, that probably wasn't bold enough to say that would be.
No, I will give you one because I made a prediction one time that first team player was going to get injured. And as much as we were going to have 70% possession over Spurs, we were going to have a first team player get injured all the time. So.
And Matt was in the lineup, so
yeah,
that's a 50-50 shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, didn't happen this way.
All right, that is true. 2 games. So off to our next fantastic match there. Not much else could have gone right. I mean, everything was going. I think I spotted one mistake in the entire game, and that was a long ball bouncing over Fab's head, and then I can't remember who had it. Whoever crossed it over to Zaha behind him, and they missed their opportunity. But other than that, a 7-0 victory over Palace. Does that take care of our Villa loss? The goal differential.
You got to say that was it. Hey, the biggest thing it did was it got rid of the curse of the third kick.
This is true. True. Love that black.
A couple of fun little stats that came out of this game. Liverpool is now the first team in top flight history to both concede and score 7 Premier League goals in the same season.
It's the most 2020 season.
That speaks volumes.
Also, with his 2 goals, Mohamed Salah is statistically the best forward to ever play the Premier League era game.
By what metric?
In terms of goals per game.
Per minutes? Or per game, or like however minutes it was?
Yeah, goals per minute or whatever it is. Like
I remember reading something like that, but I didn't see the stat.
Yeah, it's like 0.92 or something like that. Like it's a ridiculous stat in terms of.
Well, I think the most important thing that happened in that game, and I cracked myself when I scanned Sapporo in celebration, is finally 1 year to the day that he was announced as coming to Liverpool. Minamino scored his goal. What a goal it was. He snuck in behind the defenses like it was December 7th, 1941.
Oh.
It was a thing of beauty.
I think it was going to be a flag now, man. Oh, Jesus. You got to run these by us. Oh, Jesus.
No, but it was great to see.
Almost put some of the pre-match banter.
That's off the record, man. This is recorded.
Damn, this is the real show, you know.
I didn't have a warm-up. All right. Not the 18 plus show. No, I thought it was great to see Minamino get his first goal.
Absolutely. I was just shitting on him last week. I'm not kind of past, not doing his thing, but man, that was a good goal, great little touch, great hard strike. Yeah, it was like 8 yards out, but
you gotta get into that position, baby. You gotta get into that position. You gotta be that fox in that box, and like. I was very happy about that. Very, very happy to see it because, like, I think we were talking about this before we started recording, before Ben showed up with JP. Maybe maybe Minamino hasn't been everything that we kind of hoped that he would be, and certainly, like, I don't think he's been the sort of player that we saw when we were playing against him in Champions League last year. I think it's a combination of a few different things. Like, this is the first opportunity that he's had to play in his natural sort of position. It's the first time that he's playing.
Not the first time, but first with like Mane.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the first time that he's playing with the actual first team. He's still like. This is at minimum his 3rd language, English, and it's.
I don't know how that's relevant.
Well, like he's still like in terms of gelling with the team.
It's hard to transition. Fabinho had that problem when he came into.
That's true. Keita
still having that issue. And then finally, like you take into consideration that this guy moves to England and then suddenly he's in lockdown. He's living by himself and he's separated from like what meager supports that he does have. Like
he was already playing in Germany,
Austria.
So
well, I mean, I think that in itself is a good point.
Yeah,
he went from the Austrian Bundesliga to the Premier League.
Yeah. So
that's not quite. That's a lateral move.
Yeah. I think that my point is that like I mean like I think that he has a road ahead of him to be a really, really solid part of the squad. And I think that I think that goal flashes more of what we're going to see from him in the future. And certainly his performance in the Villa game, the Palace game rather, in general, is proof of what we could see from him going forward. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, and I think we've only seen the worst so far. And
I think he's got an issue with size though, because he's so small and he gets pushed off. And I don't think he hits the ball extremely hard. That goal looked good, but like I said, he was 8 yards out.
It's interesting.
He's not going to score from the 18-yard box. It's going to all be in close plays like that. Which how often is that going to happen?
Yeah, it is interesting to bring up size because although this is the German league, but Timo Werner, in an interview just recently, was saying that he's been on a scoring drill himself.
And Kai Havertz.
Right. But a big thing for Timo Werner is that he wasn't expecting the amount of contact in the Premier League and his size. And I think Timo Werner is a bigger guy than Minamino is. And he's come, and then from the German league, which is much more competitive than the Austrian league. And he's coming over and he's struggling. So I think it's a valid issue.
But he does great too. He sees the game, he moves a lot because Bobby's second goal, that was creative by Minamino making a great run, pulling a defender. Salah's ball just squeaked by, I can't remember who was defending there. And then Firmino had that touch and chip, and that was just a beauty.
Firmino's been playing like a man on fire.
3 goals, 2 games.
Now, here's my theory, because he's playing like it's 2018, 2019 again. I think Diogo Jota just gave him that push he needed. Yeah. All of a sudden, his spot was up in the air. And yeah, he's injured now, but I think it's
a combination of that and being in front of crowds again is it's because like I say, Bobby is a guy who he wants to capital P perform, wants to perform in front of a crowd. And I think that's part of the reason that he's coming back and starting to perform again. Now, obviously, didn't have a crowd at Crystal Palace, but I think that's playing into it. Maybe.
Salah had an amazing goal there, like a little flick header, second header, that was nice, but that was the second one was a classic, just cut across the box, you saw him curl it right in there like he's done it a dozen times.
I think the lack of celebration has to hurt way more than if you wildly celebrate after scoring 7. Because
are you talking about the opponents?
How much it hurts the opponents. Because think about whenever a team scores 5 or 6 in a game, they still celebrate at the 6th goal. Everybody goes crazy about how disrespectful it is. But just how much must it sting when you're the opposition that the team doesn't even want to celebrate anymore because it's just too easy.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been in that situation before. I've been in games where we've just been dominated by. And when they're just scoring at will, and you're just and they're just pop it in, and they skate back to center ice, or they go back to half line, and you're just this is just not fair. They're just and they're trying not to be jerks, but hey, if you don't want to feel like that, stop.
Well, I think that maybe played into the fact that we only saw 1 minute of stoppage time.
Oh, I said that in the message board. Yeah, mercy rule there. But if we end up losing the title on goal differential, I'm going to come back to this game and say, if we had 3 minutes extra time, we could have cost another one.
Yeah.
That was a record-tying performance for Liverpool, record going back to the 1800s.
Always good when you tie a record from the 1800s.
Just a less ballyhooed goal, but I do want to point out Jordan Henderson's netting. That was
next on the list there.
Beautiful little shot there. It's funny. I was recently listening, I can't remember, it might have been the Angela Rap, but I can't remember where it was, where they were discussing Jordan Henderson in his role as a captain, and comparing him to Gerrard. And it's in a way, I think, and I liked the point, I think in a way Steven Gerrard wanted to be the sort of captain that Jordan Henderson is, but just Steven Gerrard was too good of a player.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar opinion to that.
It was a case where Steven Gerrard was
Hender's more of a team guy.
Hendo
Gerrard's an individual star.
Hendo will get everybody else playing to the level. He'll get the Steven Gerrards playing to the level where they need to be playing in order to make things happen. Whereas Steven Gerrard's going to drag everybody forward, playing as an individual playing as an example. Jordan Henderson gets the Sadio Mane's, the Mohamed Salah's, the Roberto Firmino's actually scoring goals, playing the sort of game they need to play.
Yeah.
So do you think because of the way Hendo plays, he makes them better? Or is it just like the way he carries himself, the motivation, that sort of thing?
Combination of both.
Yeah, and I think a big point rather as well is that for a lot of Gerrard's career, he was the best player on the squad.
Oh.
And I don't think at any point has Henderson been the best player
No.
on the squad.
No, but like I think he's maybe been our most important.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going by skill.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm going by skill, less,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So and I think one of the things I heard Gerrard say in a bunch of interviews is he was the way he was, like a skill-driven player, but not very vocal, because he had character, who was more of that Hendo, I'm going to scream at you, I'm going to push you guys. And he's more of that yeller and like, I'm going to really push. Now, I don't know how much better character Maida is, because I've also heard that there's players who need a sports psychologist to deal with character.
Surviving Jamie Carragher.
Pretty much. So I like the thought that the way you're going with that. I don't think the way Hendo plays though makes them better. Maybe he allows players to be better because he's that workhorse. Is that it's going to kind of cover everybody?
I think there are three players in the current Liverpool setup that set the tempo for Liverpool. One of them is Jordan Henderson.
Definitely.
One of them is YNWA, and one of them is Roberto Firmino. And if you had
Van Dijk, you can throw Van Dijk in there?
Van Dijk less sets.
What is there?
I think Van Dijk less sets the tempo and more allows the tempo to take place further up the field. If that makes sense, like I think he allows for just because like
He does slow down the back though. Like he keeps it tight, like composed in the back.
Yeah, like I think like he's a good resetter, whereas those three are able to set up the attacking sort of and the retention side of things in a way that if two of the three are missing, we really see it happen.
No, I think that's
we really see it change the way we play change.
If I could switch over to Sadio Mane for a quick second.
Well, let's pull him off first.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it.
No, I will say, okay, before we go into that whole thing, I will say a wonderful moment.
That's a terrible impression. You need that.
Yeah. Him and Salah have great chemistry.
Oh,
Before we get into that, I will say Mane did something quite nice. Now, if any of you guys saw this video that Liverpool put out there,
That was so
the volunteer in downtown Liverpool
Man, I was crying.
has Down syndrome, but it's still like an A+ volunteer, but doing wonders for his city, and got an awesome opportunity from Sadio Mane to go score in front of the cop. And the celebration that he made, which was to kiss the sky for his granddad, who was a lifelong Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Mane said he would copy the celebration, as he's a big celebration copier.
He said, I copy celebrations, as you know. So
Yes.
if you have anything that you'd like me to copy.
True to his word.
Just
So that's
I love it, man.
but as wonderful as that was, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Sadio Mane. So that was the good.
He showed all those emotions on the way off the pitch there.
Well, so like here is the thing that like I think a lot of it will, and like I mean how many times did we make a joke about like refuse to pass the ball to him in the warm up. Obviously there's a problem there. Like the number of times there was a picture that I sent around to I think just to you Ben and Jamie where it was like literally Sadio Mane like hugging Mohamed Salah from behind as like Mo was celebrating a goal or whatever. It's just like Mohamed Salah turns his back on Sadio Mane. Like especially like when I thought of that sort of like I mean any sort of striker you want them to be that selfish and that upset and that angry. Like literally Sadio Mane had been pulled off the pitch. Just like I mean, he was probably only going to get 60 in that game anyhow.
I think Kloppman came out and said that was the game plan all week, even before the Tottenham game. They're like, you're playing Palace 60 minutes, then Salah's come out for 30 or something like that.
Yeah, so like I think it was like obvious that was sort of the game plan. Like, it just happened to be a situation where he had just missed a sitter.
And you probably knew that he had, based on how the game was going, he had like two more in him.
Yeah, and like and that's the other thing. It's like
Salah's told him.
So it's like that's the thing. Sadio Mane had scored a goal after being on a bit of a drought. So like he probably saw a hat trick dangling out there for him, and like there's probably
Time to pad stats.
well, and like probably there's a goal scoring bonus in for him this season. Like that's like that's a thing that's out there.
It's true. Yeah.
So like I'm glad to see that because he's not saying fuck you, Salah. He's like being upset that he.
Well, he barely gave me like a little slap of a high five, low five on his way out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been in situations in our lives where you're just pissed off at something, and it doesn't matter if you're seeing your best friend in the world, you're still just going to kind of be a dick because you're in a shitty mood. I think that's.
Hey, that's my wife.
Yeah, there you go. Like I think that was a good part of it.
She's always upset to see him.
That's it, yeah. That's it, man.
I don't think there's a lot to read into that. Personally,
I don't think so either, unless we get into our later on point about transfer rumors, but maybe we'll bring that back in. The rest of the match, I mean, Keita was on, he was Keita. Ox got a few minutes, which was great to see.
Keita got 90 and played well. Like, that's worth saying.
Well,
yeah, like, I mean,
there weren't a lot of lowlights of that game, but Keita certainly wasn't.
He wasn't a highlight.
He didn't set the world on fire, but he played 7 out of 10, and that's fine. Like, especially given that that was the first minutes that he's played for Liverpool since
I would say 7 out of 10 is not even because of him; it's because of everybody else. The way that game was going, if you got less than, did anybody get less than 7? I didn't check the
BBC like theirs. Yeah. Oxlade-Chamberlain getting an assist is significant.
Yeah.
Here's why. It's not why you think. Okay, it's because his girlfriend is Perry Edwards, who's part of the girl group Little Mix.
Oh, damn.
And one member of Little Mix just left. That's breaking up the group.
Oh.
And if you're like any good guy in a relationship, as something a relationship expert, you share the burden. So obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain sharing that burden, but he managed to push through that to get an assist on his Premier League.
Pushed through the tragedy of Little Miss losing a member.
Yes, and got an assist. I think it's something the media's not talking about.
That's why he was out so long. It wasn't because of his knees. It was
the emotional burden. Anyway, I think the media needs to focus on it a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think it's odd saying this, but as a goalkeeper, I have to kind of throw this out there. I don't even know who the past goalkeeper was offhand, but he knew
oh God, he was not at fault.
I don't think you can fault him for anything.
Well, it was 7. It was at fault for 1.
Well, you know what?
Maybe
I hate to draw this comparison, but the way Palace was acting was very reminiscent of the way Liverpool was acting against Aston Villa.
Where they just kind of gave up.
It was almost like you just assumed that every single shot
was going to
go in, and then even then, Adrian was in that for that, as I recall.
Yeah.
And as we said at the time, there's maybe 1, maybe 2 there.
If not.
Yeah.
I remember my notes from that one. I was barely in there.
Yeah.
Prediction from that game: Ben, you had a 3-2 win. John 2-1. I had 3-1. Hendo winner, so you almost. If it was the first goal, you would have got it.
I know, which is too bad because I had the Minamino.
Yes, you're like, hey, I had Minamino. I was like, that's the other game.
Yeah.
John had a technical, but he was suspended. So, it's that. And I had a Phillips goal. So I keep feeling that's going to get in there. But
he, I keep being surprised when he's not.
He needs some minutes because I don't think Reece can play the rest of the season. I think you got to get that up there.
And I thought Phillips has been a better center back replacement in a lot of ways.
A little more mature. More handle.
Probably the beard. It's probably the
It's the beard,
man. But no, I feel like the one game he did play, what was it? It was Champions League game, I assume.
No, you can't play Champions League.
That's right.
I can't remember which game.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, no points for that game there, except for Liverpool, who got their full 3. Lots of other games in the Premier League. We're not going to go through every single one. Maybe we'll touch base on 1 or 2 highlights in there. For me, I want to just jump quickly to Sheffield because I want to touch on Brewster because we did sell him, but we got a buyback clause. 10 games, 0 goals. I watched most of the Sheffield-Brighton game, and Brewster was pretty much invisible. I don't know if you guys watched any of it, but I just wanted to see if he was going to do anything, but he's not there. I don't know if the system's not working for him or if he's just not adjusting. He's still young, but I would expect to see something out of him, getting all these minutes.
I don't think the Sheffield system in general is working.
Yeah, I think Sheffield owes a great debt of gratitude to Manchester United for loaning them Henderson last season. Because
turned out to be it. That was all. That was it.
It's one of those things where
because he is a great keeper, but that wasn't it.
Well, since then, what?
No.
It's got what, 2 points? Like,
But it wasn't like they were getting peppered last year, and Henderson's making like world-class saves every game.
Now it is
Making
interesting.
one.
Dean Henderson started it for Manchester United against Sheffield, and based on his own flood in the first 5
That was
minutes,
hilarious.
conceded to Sheffield. So.
Anyway, as soon as Brewster came off in the 54th minute, his sub scored, which is just insulting. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. I got high hopes, and maybe we'll buy him back, but we'll see here. John, any games you want to touch base on? The Leeds game was a barn burner, drop points everywhere.
I mean, a lot has been made of the Manchester United, Leeds United matchup. Of course, the first time Leeds gone back to Old Trafford in quite a while. A lot of people sort of saying like, oh, this is United's back, and all this sort of stuff. Like, here's the thing, like, okay,
United's back every other week.
That's just it. Like, this happens every year where Ole puts together a little bit of a run of form. They beat a team that they probably shouldn't. I don't know. I guess they took a point away from City. Maybe if they beat Leicester, like they'll get those 3 points that they probably shouldn't have gotten. And then all of a sudden they're going to come up against like an Aston Villa or well, I shouldn't say Aston Villa because we shipped 7.
In case you haven't heard.
But they're going to come up against a team where they should very handily beat them, and like all of a sudden they're going to lose to them 5-0. Like it happens every year, and like I'm sorry, I'm just not that impressed by them beating Leeds United team 6-2 when it's just like, okay, so
They are just running forward.
They scored 6 goals against a team that doesn't like to defend. Like, okay,
That's so awesome.
But if you're gonna crap on Man U, I mean, they got a game in hand against Burnley, providing they beat them. They're 2 points back.
There's your 3 points that they're going to probably drop.
Maybe, but even still, they're only
now when
5
you're listening
points
to this,
back.
listener.
Yeah.
5 points back. So I mean, it's worth a discussion. We won't get too into it, but John's basically saying he doesn't believe in United.
Listen, I keep on saying this, like, long may Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's employment continue, because it's just like it gives them enough belief that like, oh, like he can keep on like he might win them an FA Cup, and that may buy him another couple of years or something. But like,
We're in the Europa League didn't save Jose Mourinho. those Woodwards, the Glazers.
It's just like long may it continue, because like he's just not that good, and they're not gonna like really challenge anybody in any significant way. And just watching United fans try to like not shit talk Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that they have great memories of as a player, but then also like try and reconcile that with like, oh, like we've got this amazing team this team where like realistically, like I think like Bruno Fernandes is like the only player that would make
any other starting 11.
Rashford. I think Wan-Bissaka is quietly.
Like Bissaka, okay, like honestly, I was thinking about this. Like Bissaka, Rashford, and Bruno Fernandes, I think are the only 3 players on that team that would make Shabbat.
You put Pogba in a proper system.
He probably will be. He probably will be the starting 11 of another team.
I don't think Paul Pogba's that good.
Okay.
I think that like
I think his head's got screwed over.
I think the Juventus team that he played in accentuated the 3 things that he does well, very, very well, and like he was playing around really, really great.
Haircuts, Steve.
Like haircuts, jerseys,
Dabbing.
frappes after the game.
If I can do a point about Manchester United, I mean, if you look at their last 3 games, Manchester Derby, they didn't lose. The only losers were the Beavers.
Oh god.
Then Sheffield against a very hapless, depressing Sheffield.
3-2.
Yeah, they conceded 2, which was embarrassing. They still pretty much controlled that game, but still 3-2 against Sheffield. And then this game against Leeds. Now I watched this whole game in its entirety, and I will say that the scoreline said 6-2, but there were definitely like at the beginning of the second half. Because I think they were up 4-1 at the beginning of the second half. I was like, this game could easily be 4-4. I wouldn't put it past Leeds to do that.
So if Leeds had headed the ball in the net instead of down and bounced over, it would have been a different game. Oh, interesting.
Well, Harry Kane doesn't play for Leeds.
No,
but Manchester United didn't seem in control of that game despite winning 6-2, which is a very weird statement to make.
No, we were talking about
they didn't have a stat on it, did they?
We were talking about this at the time. Like all points in that game, it looked like Leeds could come back.
Yeah.
And like again, well, you look at the big two tails of that game week, right? Like obviously the Manchester United Leeds United game, and then Liverpool beating Crystal Palace, which again, I didn't say this during our coverage of that game, but like beating Roy Hodgson is always good for my soul. And just seeing that guy upset and sad, just
There you go, JP. 60% possession for Leeds.
4 shots on target.
You
had 14
yeah.
on target.
And Scott McTominay scored twice, which is, I don't think anybody would have uttered those words.
Scott McTominay wouldn't have made Sir Alec Ferguson's badge, but
all right, enough with United.
Okay,
let's move on.
Can I move on to my favorite topic, which is that of Arsenal? Okay.
So we're going to the bottom of the barrel.
Yes. Now, we were talking here today, John and I feel that Arteta is gone as soon as Arsenal identify a replacement. And I saw today in the old rumor wire that 2 of the shortlisted interns are none other than Rafa Benitez, familiar face for us, and
very familiar face.
Return of the King, Arsene Wenger.
So Benitez,
He's like what, China or something?
He's making so much money in China right now.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to
Why would you leave that?
If I'm Rafa Benitez, you have to be giving me double my salary in China right now, which Arsenal just does not have. If they did, they would have signed an outfield player that would have made an impact on their ability to score goals this season. Or I'm going to a team where I can actually win something. So like Rafa Benitez is not going to Arsenal, period.
Arsene Wenger though, the guy's, how old is he now? You know?
Chinese super club Dalian Yifeng has signed Rafa Benitez on a £12 million contract.
That's nuts.
That's true. I don't know. It's just Googled it. But I don't know if I want Rafa to coach Arsenal, man. I like Rafa. I like him to actually have success.
My prediction is they tried the former player with Arteta.
They're going to go back to Wenger.
No, they're going to Thierry Henry.
Oh God, he's barely doing anything.
I know.
Oh no, I want Henry to do well in Montreal. Yeah, I'd love to see him do well there. Maybe we can get him on the podcast there.
That'd be awesome.
Actually, a bunch of I saw him do a whole bunch of impact players did a podcast somewhere, and Wanderers was Stephen Hartman too. All right, so any other games there? Let's move on. There's too many and lots to go through. All we gotta know is that Chelsea dropped points, City dropped points.
Liverpool is top of the tree at Christmas.
Yeah.
Always nice to see. Now, past the club talk, we're going to go into the transfer talk because we haven't talked about many transfers in a while, if at all. But rumors have been swirling, and I tend to tell these boys to squash the crap that gets thrown around. Oh yeah, paying £100 million for this, or this, or this. But when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's enough out there that the golden boy, Divock Origi, might be moving to Schalke. Yeah, we'll get to Sal in a second. But
the thing about Origi, I think we were talking about last week, I believe, because there was also rumors that he had the Wolves. I think what's great about Origi for us as a bargaining chip is that he's a very attractive prospect. He's a proven effective striker, but in our team of superstars, it's just not quite working anymore.
No,
so the rumor,
it's not even necessarily like in the team of superstars, just like in the team that we play in the style.
Exactly. But to other systems,
he's more of a lone striker.
Yeah.
He's got to be up there and long ball and muscle people off. But I do like him, but I just can't see him.
And then Schalke were usual.
The bottom.
Exactly. And they're usually Champions League, attendance.
What happened there? So that's why when you said this to me that Ozan Kabak, a Turkish center back, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting transfer talk because why would they give up? Like, he's a good young prospect. If they're a crap team, they should be keeping these guys and building it up.
I think Schalke has a big financial issue as well. So I think in their minds, they're thinking they can't afford to hold on to this guy. Yeah.
And your comment was Kabak and cash.
Or Origi and cash.
Origi and cash.
Yeah.
So and then the alternate rumor that's been going around is that Kabak is not going to go to Liverpool at all, and that AC Milan is paying them basically the farm in order to take his services to Italy. So I think that's maybe like a situation if they can shore up either resources to keep themselves in the Bundesliga or shore up resources so that they're okay if they go down to try and mount a resurgence back into the main league in Germany. Like, I think that's a more likely scenario. Apparently, we're in for, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the pronunciation of his name, but a young 25-year-old defender from Borussia Dortmund.
Series American.
Akani, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He is a Swiss national, 25 years old.
Emmanuel Akanji.
Akanji, yes. Again, apparently we're in for him from the same source that I read that Quebec is likely to go to Milan. So, it's questionable. Like, I think honestly, I think it's questionable that we need any sort of.
And that's my next question there.
Yeah. In the transfer market at all. I think anybody that we are looking at right now is something that we've been looking at for a while, and I don't think we've been looking.
We have been looking at Quebec for a while.
We have. I don't think we're looking at the game-changing defender that or.
Well, I think Quebec isn't the game-changer.
Yeah,
defender. It's not like we're getting cool ballers.
That's just it. I think we're kind of all hoping for that game changer. I don't think we're going to see it because I don't think we're looking for it.
Well, I don't think we need, I know where you're going with this, and I agree. I don't think we need a young, promising fullback because we got Van Dijk when he comes back. We got Gomez when he comes back, and we got all these kids. So it's almost like we need the older guy just on a swan song to come in. And,
kind of like our version of Thiago Silva.
I was going to say David Silva. David Luiz, sorry.
Silva's, yeah.
Say David Luiz there.
Yeah, let's get him.
I've long said, like, we need a Ragnar Klapp.
Sergio Ramos.
Well, if Salah leaves, that might be feasible. Before we get to Salah one, Renato Sanchez.
Now, this is
I don't know nothing about this guy.
All right, so I'll give you a quick rundown there, JP. Significant because Muto Mercato Web is an Italian site that predicted or first reported the Minamino transfer. So they have a bit of a positive track record. They have claimed that Liverpool have a 20 million euro agreement in principle with Lille for Renato Sanchez. Now, Renato Sanchez, for those who don't know, was Golden Boy winner and the worst possible named trophy of all time. In 2016, after a very successful run with Benfica as well as the Euros with Portugal, he since moved to Bayern Munich, where he did not do very well. Did a couple of quick stint with Swansea, did a quick stint back with Bayern, ended up at Lille. 25 years old, midfielder, still, hopefully has got it. But we're eyeing him up as a genuine Aldo replacement, is the word.
I like that.
Now, could we bring out the best of him? Is this going to be Diego Jota? Is this going to be Naby Keita?
So, okay, we don't need to get into the Diogo Jota, the Diogo Jota versus Naby Keita debate ever again, because I think we've been down that road enough.
That's been satisfied. That's been proven.
It's a pretty one-sided debate there.
I get salty enough about that if I need to, but I think what's interesting about Renato Sanchez, he's only 23.
Oh, sorry,
he has maybe not been as successful as like early indicators would say.
Bit of a flop.
You could say the same thing.
Sweet dreads, though.
You could say the same thing about Mo Salah. You could say the same thing about Gini Wijnaldum, who he's supposed to be potentially replacing. I think Renato Sanchez, he's the sort of player that Klopp would gravitate towards if it's true. I have some doubts about the source based on the figure, 20 million euros. Lille just paid 25 for him like a year and a half ago.
Well, Bayern paid 30 mil for Benfica, so this is maybe the system we're operating.
Maybe it is, but like
I give up on him pretty fast.
I think for the year where he's doing, from what I could glean from the stats, I'm not watching a whole lot of lead with football. But what I've
Too busy with the K-League.
exactly. John Buck is doing well. What I had gleaned from the stats, though, he's doing well little, and would have to be doing pretty well in order for us to have our eye on him. We are still technically the world champions. But honestly, like I think it would be a situation where, like, would I be upset if this were the direction that we went? No, not at all. But I still kind of hope that YNWA signs.
I'm with you as well. I think it's we have a good number of young midfielders coming in, and I would love to squeeze out all the football we can out of Ginny, and then Cujo's ready to take over, and then Ox will get in there.
January signing Thiago.
There you go.
Soon make his appearance.
Yeah, both times. Well, he's 29, so he's not much younger than in there. But nonetheless, we'll see. We'll monitor that there. But the big one, as I alluded to earlier, was Mohamed Salah, and we heard all kinds of stupid rumors here and there. But now, a couple stories come out, a couple interviews come out, and so we got a lot in there. So how are we thinking? Do we actually think Salah's unhappy? He didn't get the captaincy when Trent did, and he was kind of moving on from that. But
I mean, I'll just jump in here right now. Like the whole like captaincy, like in case anybody didn't see the news bulletin, like Salah did an interview with AS in Spain and talked about like how he wasn't happy that he hadn't been chosen for captaincy.
He didn't say that in the interview. Sorry, he said that to his teammate.
I thought he said that all the time.
No. There was in the interview, it said, Salah said, honestly, I was very disappointed. I was expecting to be the captain, but it's manager's decision, so I accepted it. So it was a busy-lane game, and you got Trent for the kid. Come on, make
we could get into that, but like I think honestly, like, were we ever in a situation where we thought Salah was a captain for the squad? I think he's a leader, absolutely, but I think like it is a situation where you've got a dead rubber where you don't have one of your natural four captains that we have. Let's put it to the next guy who's going to be in that lineup. And I don't think Salah's going to be in the lineup of our captains. The other things that he said was, the interviewer, and this is the thing that's like flashing up a bunch of headlines, is the interviewer, the headlines are Salah doesn't rule out moving to one of the big Spanish giants of Madrid or Barcelona. The interviewer asked him, you're obviously in the peak of your, I don't know the exact quote, but it's like, you're obviously in the peak of your career. Could you ever see yourself going to Barcelona?
And here's exactly Salah's remarks to that. I think Madrid and Barcelona are top clubs. It was debatable right now.
He said top clubs and not top teams. And that's worth noting right
That's
there.
true. Top clubs. We never know what is going to happen in the future, but right now we'll focus on winning the Premier League and Champions League again with my club. The reporter asked, how much longer do you see yourself like Liverpool? Laughs. That's a tough one. But right now, like I said, everything is in the club's hands. It's
a contract.
And then, of course, I want to break records here and repeat every record in the club, but everything's in the club's hands.
So that's a little in the club's hands. I've read actually like native speakers of Arabic in terms of like what Salah would be trying, sort of like doing the translation from Arabic into English. They're saying like what they were saying based on that is like that's a very common sort of phrase that's been literally translated into English of, it's not my decision to make. I'm happy where I'm at. It's not my decision to make. And I don't know what the future holds.
So you're saying the translation made it more positive towards Liverpool.
So
certainly more neutral, I think.
Instead of inshallah, it was inshallah.
Hey.
No, I'm Arabic, inshallah.
Now here's the thing, quickly, because we're running along already with all these games here, with all these games we're reviewing. There is no release clause in Salah's contract, so Liverpool could ask for whatever they want. Transfer market has him at 120 million euro. Now,
he would go for over 150.
I don't think so, probably.
Coutinho was any indication.
Exactly. You're getting somebody buying there.
Which Barcelona's already trying to offload him to balance the books.
So that's why I don't think money's being spent like that. And then I mean, this maybe we'll save this real question for next week because we can get right into it. Would you sell him for 150? Well, you got Jota who likes playing that right side. He does well off the right side like Salah does.
That's true.
So you got Salah, you got Jota, Mane, Firmino, and then Minamino jumping in there too. Maybe we can do without him and take that 150 mil and do whatever we can.
So
That's a long
we're recording next week on the 28th, 27th.
On Zoom, bro.
Oh wait, sorry.
I'll be
28th, sorry.
28th. It's a Monday.
Yeah.
So we'll be recording at that point in time. Like, let's leave that for next week in terms of what we are trying to sort of see the team doing in the future. So that's an interesting conversation to have.
Speaking of other interesting conversations, which we're not going to spend a lot of time on, is the FIFA Best Awards. Because that I just want to throw out quickly that we got our own Canadian in there. So Alphonso Davies beat out Bravo, which is kind of unfortunate, for a left back World 11. Boys, see that future Canadian footballers there? Him, Jonathan David, Liam Miller, maybe?
I think. All right, Jimmy.
No, every time.
One of these days, man, I got faith. But anyway.
I love Bravo, but I think 100% Alphonso Davies.
I don't know, but right now, in the future, I think Davies got more fun.
I think coming off that Champions League run that Bayern Munich had, which was incredible, and he was a pretty regular starter. Yeah, I think he deserves to be there.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think for me, he belongs in the World 11. I think Bravo does too, so I would have put Davies in the midfield.
But there's so many world-class midfielders.
Yeah, it's too many midfielders.
Kevin De Bruyne, Thiago.
That's it, man. We had, we had Thiago in there as well. So classic Liverpool midfielder.
History has been said.
I mean, as we said on the Twitter this week, our Twitter account at Canada Cup Pod, Liverpool was well represented in the World 11. We had 4 players plus one lifelong fan. So.
Liverpool hero for missing that penalty against us.
Oh, yeah. And then we'll get into it today, but those of you listening, if you haven't looked up who everybody voted for, some of them are quite funny, so you can see the nation captains and the nation coaches. I would suggest looking up some of the Liverpool players who are captains and see how loyal they are, and then a lot of other people who, some interesting ones, a lot of Africans going all towards Mane and Salah. Ronaldo, Messi, they were interesting votes there. I'll let you guys find those on your own.
Messi being a little sassy.
Maybe there.
Take a look at North Korea, surprising, and maybe may surprise you whether or not Sun made it into their
Shocking results there. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap her up. I'm gonna bang off a quick game here for you since we didn't get to it last week. I got it set up. All right, this one should not take too long at all.
Just to recap for everybody, Ben beat JP in the last round, games best of 3. So that went to the buzzer. So I'm now the challenger.
Bit of a masterclass performance.
Masterclass.
I'm now the challenger against Mr. Deutsch. So let's see how I do.
So this is one of those games. It's quick, fun, random. Be surprised if you guys know them offhand. But we're going to go with a little game of who's older. Nice and easy. Who's older game. Now, we can make this a drinking game too, probably. Now, we'll start off with some Liverpool, but it'll all have a Liverpool connection at some point in there. And I'm only going to do 5 to start. Maybe I'll do this again next week. I'll have some more in there. So let's start off real simple. It doesn't matter who goes first. You guys can, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think here. I'll get the scorecard here. All right. First, we're just going with that front 3. Firmino, Mane, or Salah. Which one is older?
Who goes first? Me or Joe?
Doesn't matter.
Firmino.
You're going Firmino?
Yeah, I think it's Firmino, but
you can say it right now.
I think it's Firmino.
I think it is. Salah's 28 in June, Mane's 28 in April, and Firmino turned 29 in October. So you guys are both right there. Points cancel out. We're going to stick with all club players here. How about Xherdan Shaqiri, Thiago Alcantara, and Virgil van Dijk?
Thiago. Van Dijk. No, fuck, it's Thiago. Gotta retract it.
There. I'll let you go. Final answer.
Ooh. It's tight between Thiago and Van Dijk. I know that. I'm gonna go with Thiago again.
Shaqiri just looks like he's 53.
Shaqiri's 29.
Oh, that's older than
Wow.
October, 29. Van Dyke is 29 as well. But July, Thiago Alcantara is also 29 with birthday in April. So he's the oldest. We
Okay.
got that one right as well. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum here. It's even up so far. Seth Vandenberg, Harvey Elliott, or Reese Williams.
Harvey.
Is the oldest.
Oh, I thought we were younger. You said opposite end.
Sorry, the younger guy. Younger guy.
Go back.
Tell me what's again.
Seth Vandenberg, Harvey Elliott, Reese Williams. Who is the oldest? Still oldest, just the other end.
Reese Williams. Reese Williams, yeah.
Reese is 19. Harvey's only 17. Seth Vandenberg turns 19
Yeah.
in December. So he's not there. So Reese is the oldest.
Yeah, Seth
So again,
Vandenberg looks like he's 4 though.
all right, we're going to venture off the club a little bit. We're going to start with Jurgen Klopp, though.
Okay.
So who's older? Jurgen Klopp, Jay-Z, or Vanilla Ice? Who is the oldest?
That's actually
That's a good one.
MCs amongst them, all of them.
That's true.
That's it now. We got
I mean, only one is the greatest of all time. Vanilla Ice.
Who is the oldest? That's good.
Klopp?
Jay-Z or Vanilla Ice? Get you guys to wrap.
You know what? I'm actually okay. I'm gonna say Vanilla Ice because he was in his prime in the very early '90s. Jurgen Klopp was still playing for Mainz in the mid-late '90s. So,
all right.
I'm saying Vanilla Ice. Henry Winkler. Is that his name? No, that's not it. Henry Winkler.
The
played for
Fonz?
Fonz, yeah. That's his name. He has a funny name.
He's got.
All right,
I don't look it up. It's all
Van
stupid.
Winkle.
But yeah, Van Winkler.
Urban Van Winkle. Klopp, Jay-Z or Vanilla Ice? Need an answer, John?
I'm gonna say, I think, Jay-Z is older than you expect him to be. I think, I understand, I like your thought process there, Ben, but he was young when he was at the height of his powers. Vanilla Ice was. I'm gonna say Klopp.
Gonna go Klopp. Your Klopp is 53, June 16th. Jay-Z is 51, December 4th.
Oh.
Vanilla Ice is also 53, birthday in October, which makes Jurgen Klopp the oldest.
Oh, no.
There.
Oh, I'm
Not
on
by
the board,
much,
baby.
Not by much, buddy.
I mean, Jurgen Klopp's looking a lot better than.
That is very true in there.
I mean,
All
Vanilla
right.
Ice is, still looks like he could be in
It's a soul patch.
All right. So now, let's see if, Ben, you need this one. Keep it alive.
Vanilla Ice is almost as old as my parents.
We're going to go with Liverpool's throwing coach, Thomas Grunberg.
Okay.
Vin Diesel or The Undertaker?
Not a fair question. Because the Undertaker can never die, and therefore he's
He does have official age according to Wikipedia.
I don't know anything about a throwing coach, to be fair.
We want to learn here, guys. We want to learn about it.
I'm going based on my heart, based on my wrestling fan heart, and saying The Undertaker recently retired. Mark Calloway, I miss when he wasn't doing just regular ass interviews.
All right. Is that your answer?
Wearing his weird.
Just as your answer.
I'm saying The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
Who's the other one that wasn't?
Vin Diesel. Vin
No, it's
Diesel,
not. I know it's not the Diesel.
Thomas Grunberg or The Undertaker.
Give him the Undertaker.
No, The Undertaker. Thomas Grunberg is only 45.
Young and
Vin Diesel, 53. And The Undertaker is 55. And you got a point. But John gets the victory there. 2-1.
Well done.
All right. Nicely done, guys.
Much like The Undertaker before he met with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my God.
Well done, boys. Well done. That's not too bad. You nailed the club players easily.
Jamie,
So
if you could
let's,
just get the dong in here.
Get the scoreboard right there. All right, so we're gonna wrap her up here, guys. We got West Brom coming up on Sunday, the 27th, after Christmas. Scoreline predictions. John, what do you got?
Oh,
Honestly,
honestly, just
this one really.
neither did I. Honestly,
It's kind of a nothing game,
it's
isn't it?
it's
A little
but
bit.
Which means they're going to lose.
it's at Anfield, but it is the return of Big Sam to Anfield. So I'm calling a draw. Just I'm literally coming up with this on the top of my head. I'm gonna say 2-2. Just I have no real reason for that other than it just feels right.
We're just gonna have those bad games against the weak teams, eh?
Yeah, and it's Big Sam, he doesn't want to go away from home. And
British hero,
lose.
Big Sam.
All right.
So
bold prediction?
bold prediction is that we see another Firmino goal.
That's
bold?
no,
Okay,
calm
so
down.
that's-
Calm.
let's go.
Flag on the play.
Fine, fair enough.
Another Firmino double, except.
Liverpool is the one to even it up. So it looks 2-1 for a long period of time there.
That bold enough.
Yeah, I'll accept it because my bold prediction is similar. I'm gonna do a JB bold prediction.
All right.
Oh, players will be on the pitch.
Players on the pitch.
No, I'm just in line with your prediction, with your possession prediction.
Just anyway.
Okay, I'll be quick. I'm gonna call a 3-1 victory. It's similar to Big Sam. I think there's gonna be a little bit of momentum there. Bold prediction is we're gonna concede first. Is that bold enough?
That works for me.
Against New
Yeah, if you're leaving them to catch a tie up there. I'm going with a 3-0 victory. I think it's going to be, we got last couple of Boxing Day games were great. We've come off a high. The guys are rested. Thiago might even be back. So I think, a 3-0 win, and I'm going to go keep riding my Matt Phillips goal until he gets to the line at the least, man. I want to see the Lumberjacks score a goal. All right, Jamie, make sure you send me your prediction too, man. I'll message you later for that. And guys, that's going to wrap it up for our Christmas edition here of the Canada Cup from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Joe, you want to wish everybody Merry Christmas here?
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. A Van Dyke. That's one I should have gone with.
Right there.
But I didn't say I was great at all things, just at beating you in trivia. But in all honesty, genuinely, thank you so much for listening every week. When you do, follow us on Twitter at the Canada Cup Pod, follow us on Instagram at the Canada Cup. Next week, calling it right now, 'twas the match after Christmas 2.
Oh, when you made it up before.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, do that for sure. You lost me for a second there. Give me a heads up on that next time. Ben.
Yeah, I think, well, totally everything you said, John. Thanks so much for listening. Definitely follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Unsubscribe and subscribe again, if you could, because I think that boosts us a little bit. So that's great too. Hope everyone has a great and safe Christmas, holidays, and really hoping for a good performance on Boxing Day, or the 27th, I guess, right? 27th.
Sunday.
And we'll see you guys all next week.
All right, so from everybody here at the Canada Cup, you guys all from Halifax here, the official club, supporters club in Halifax, miss you guys. Hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. Down at our home at Dirty Nelly's, again, we're missing you guys there. Anybody listening up there, feel free to donate and buy some gift certificates for all the local restaurants, support all of them. They are in need for sure. We're allowed to get together a bit, but our restaurants are still closed, so hopefully we'll get back there soon enough. Again, stay safe out there. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to however you celebrate, and cheers for watching.
Our love to handsome Jamie.
Jamie.
See you soon, buddy.